So go ahead and see how we can declare an array objects and then assign characteristics to those objects. Now you can go ahead and make this in a way very interactive by asking for the input from the user. So you can print out, enter your name, or yeah, something like that. Enter a name, the person enters their name, you assign it to. I think we should do that because it's quite, yeah, we should do that. We should do that. Okay, let's start from here. So we're going to ask for user input. So we would see out welcome, welcome to the meeting. So we are having a meeting, and these people who would be coming would be participants in the meeting, right? So we just want to output a welcome message to them. Then we would have cout, please enter your name, right? Let me capitalize this. Please enter your name. Then after that, they would enter their name, and we want to use get line. Note, for name, they might have spaces between them. So if you just use cn, you're going to get the first part of the name. And we've looked at that when we were looking at inputting and outputting. So if you don't get what I'm saying, just kindly go back and check that video. So we'll be using get line to get the name of the person, what the person will be entering. So we use cn, this is the syntax, and you want to put it in person A. No, let me use person D to avoid conflicts. Person D dot name, right? So we have created an object already. No, before you can do this, you have to have an object already. The normal way is you should assign this the name to let's say a string called name. If you have created a string, let's say that you created a string earlier, that string name, you just declared it. Then over here you have to assign this text that will be entering to the variable name. But in this case, we are not assigning it to a variable name. We are assigning it to an object which is under a structure, and that object is called person D. And when you assign it to person D, do you want to assign this thing that the person is this information the person is entering to as the age, city, or name? So what characteristic do you is the person entering? So the person is entering their name, so we want to assign it to person D dot name, right? Then we've got that sorted out. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to see out, I think the age, right? So please enter your age, right, with the semicolon. And now it's good practice to request for the age of people in programming to get strings and then convert them to integers if you need to. Over here we're getting a string and we want to use it as a string, but then if you are requesting for numerical input from a user, it's good practice to request for it in a string format. We have looked at that as well in a previous video, so you can go there and get the reasons. So we'll be asking for their age and want to call this age, and it's going to be a string, right? So we have not used a over here because that would be conflicting, so we just use capital A to kind of make it different. So this is the string they'll be entering, and it's going to be a numerical data, right? So when they enter this, we want to assign it get line, whoops, or we can just use cn, right? So cn, and where do we want to put it? We want to put it in a variable called, it's better just use get line, right? So we want to put it in a variable called age, right? Then after that, we have to use the string stream, and before you can use the string stream to convert a string to integer, you have to include this. So you have to write this line includes a stream before you can use the string stream that we are using over here. So string stream, this was covered, I think, yeah, in a previous video. So we use string stream, and then we want to convert the variable called age, which is of type string, to what we want to keep it in. So person d dot age, right? So that one is sorted out as well. Then the last thing we want to do is we want to get the city. So where do you come from, with a semicolon, and they would be entering a location, it's better we use the get line to get everything that we're entering, in case there are the place they'll be coming from is two worded locations. So get line cn, and we want to put that in person d dot city. Right. Then after that, I think we can go ahead and print whatever information that we'll be getting. Right. So I'll go ahead and comment out all of this, because right now we're working with person D only. So I'll go ahead and comment out all of this, and I'll copy this line to this place. Then what we want to do is to change your name as person D dot name, you are person D dot age, and you come from person D dot city. Right, so let's run this, and hopefully we should be getting no bugs. Good. This is not good formatting, so I would close this and then come here and put a new line so that the text would new line, right? So we run this. Why? Okay, so I use those arrows. So now welcome to the meeting. Please enter your name, and we want to have, let's say, Mete. Please enter your age. I'm 20. Where do you come from? I come from Ankara. Right. So your name is Mete, you are 20, and you come from Ankara. Cool. So that is how to request for user input and to assign it to the corresponding object characteristics under a structural class, kind of. Right, so that was how to request for user input. So we go ahead to the next section. So declare an array object. So we'll now be looking at how to declare an array object and to assign user inputs or any other thing. You can do it directly without requesting for user input. But since we have this structure over here, I'll just go ahead and use the user input format. So then we want to have, let me just clear this person C, because we're not even using him or her, and clear this person E as well. And what we want to have here is array object. Let's call it student, right? And it's just going to take 2. So we are going to, so we have created an array which is an object and a participant. I think it's a good practice again to compare it to normal arrays. Let's say that we have an array string, and we want to call it array, or let's say names. It's called names, and this square bracket denotes how many members that this array is going to take. Let's say 2 members, and then how many then you then enter the members of the array, and we want to have, so names we want to have in Joe here, and we want to have in Engin in here, right? So this is a typical array. Now this array is also called students, and it's of type, so we could have come down here to declare it separately as participant 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 and call it students. And what we want to have is the number of elements, 2, and then you can go ahead and put in the information that you want, and then you want to have your brackets over there as well. Now what you can do is you can say students, and this is, whoops, what am I doing, 0 dot age or dot name. So this is a kind of tabular information, because with this particular object, the first object, let's say the first object which is at index 0, the first object which is at index 0 is going to have a name, age, city. So it's not that the name is, it's a separate object or a separate entity in students. One object under students, one object under the object student should have a name, age, and city. So that's why I'm not entering that information here. So I'll come down here and call the object students, and then put this index over here, dot name is equal to, let's say, Joe, right? So we go ahead and then we run let's just print it out to see if it works. So we have students dot name, right? What am I doing? The 0th index dot name, right? I'll go ahead and then let me just make this capital so we don't get any clashes, and then comment out all of this, right? So this is what's going to be running. So we run this and we get Joe. So that's how to declare and initialize arrays as not for user input, but in this case, the second case, we're going to be asking for input and then assigning them to the corresponding indexes. So you can have, so let me just close this. So you could have had students at index 0 dot name, and that's Joe, and you can have students at index 0 still, because that is still the first object dot age, and we want to put in the age there, and then you come to students and you want to have in 0 there dot city, and you want to put in the city of the person, Adana Merson, right? So that's how to take note. This is still at index 0, so that's still the first object. We have not moved to the second object. The first object should have these three characteristics. You can go out, you can decide not to give the third characteristic as you have done earlier by just issuing the name and not the agency, right? So the first object is having these three characteristics. If you want to assign it to the second object, you have to use students one dot city, kind of, right? So let's go ahead and then print out 0 dot city to see if it's going to work, right? So you can get this information and then use it anywhere you want. So I'm going to clear out all of this string names, right? I'm clearing this and that as well, so that we can use the array as we want to put in user input. So we paste it here, commenting out all of that. So then we have an object called students, and it's to take two members, and each member is going to have three characteristics, right? So you have this kind of division, right? So now do we want to do? We want to see out welcome to the meeting, and then see out please enter your name. Okay, so now let me comment this out. If we will be using, I don't know if we'll be using it. So after this, please enter your name, right? So we want to output welcome to the meeting. Then after that, what do we want to do? Or we just, let's say welcome to school. Welcome to school. Then after that, what do we want to do? We know we are going to ask for input from two people, right? So the first person and the second person. Now, for the first person, we would be needing three information pieces of information, right? So then we have to use a loop to kind of print out a message. We print out the first time, and then the second time we print for the second person as well. So then let's use a for loop. So for, let me put some kind of spacing over here. So for int I is equal to, let's say, 0. What do we want to do? Okay, the condition is that I should be less than 2, because it's going to start from 0 to 1, so it's going to be 2 times. Then we want to have I 1/2 plus plus I, right? Then what do we want to do for this kind of loop? So what we want to do is we want to see out um let me just, so we want to do this. Let me cut this and paste it in here. So we want to see out please enter your name. Then after that they would enter their name, and we want to put it in. Now this is where the the difference come in. The difference comes in. So we don't want to put, we don't want to use person d dot city. This is an array, so we have to use put it in students. What have I done? Student at the ith position, right? At the ith position dot name. Now, this is what we have done here. When the person enters their name, we want to put the name of the person in the name over here. But then, this is the first person. So when we start at I is equal to 0, students, students is an array. So it's going to start at 0, the 0th index, and that's the first element. And the first element is going to have a name. So student at 0 dot name, which we have printed earlier already. So that's kind of a similar syntax. So student at the ith position dot name. So if I is 0, student 0 dot name, and we want to see out, please enter your age. So we want to put it in age. Let's uncomment this, and then want to convert the string to integer and want to store it in. I think I should have copied. Let me do all this. Right, so I'm going to copy this. I'm not going to cut it. I'll paste it here. And then we would have student at ith position dot name. Right, then we'll ask for the age of the person in a string format. Then we convert it to an integer and store it in student dot student at the ith position dot I think age. Right, then what we want to do next is where do you come from, and we want to put that in student dot. Why do I like the dot? So at the ith position dot city. Right, then after that, what do we want to do? Let me comment this out. What I want to do is I want to copy this as well and paste it over here. Right, so we would want to print the name of the student. So let me go ahead. But before then, we know we will be expecting two objects. So the first object would have a name, age, city. The second object would have a name, age, city. So we want to use a for loop here as well to run through the loop. Copy and paste. So for I is equal to that, because it's just two elements. What do we want to do? We want to see out this, and it's not going to be person D, is going to be student dot name, and then you are how come this thing is cleared already? You are that dot I think age, right? Yeah, dot age, and then we have you, and you come from paste. You come from student I dot city, right? So before then, we want to just see out, check the accuracy of the information you entered. Right, I think we should put in a new line over here to avoid clashes. Right, so accuracy, good. So I think we're good to go now. So let's run this and let's see what happens. There is an error over here. It says student was not declared in this scope. Student. Oh, so I should clear this S, right, so that it would correspond to the variable we are using. So I'll run this, and again we have this arrow. Like, oops, I should uncomment this. Okay, so we will uncomment that and run it. Good, we are past compile time now. We are at the runtime. So welcome to the school. Please enter your name. My name is Mete. Please enter your age. I'm 20. Where do you come from? Ankara. Right. Please enter your name. This is not good formatting. But let's just enter it and see if it's working. My name is Janar, and please enter your age. I'm 24. And where do you come from? I come from Adana. Right, so check the accuracy of the information you entered. your name is Mete, you are 20 and you come from Ankara. Your name is Janar, you're 24 and you come from Adana, right? So that's how to assign user input to arrays. But I think that the formatting was not good. So you guys, you can go ahead and format it the way you want, but I will just do this. So I would want to have numbers. So one dot, please enter your name, and two dot. So two dot, please enter your age, and then three dot, where do you come from? Then after that, I want to have, okay, so that's it. And I want to have a new line after that. So see out NL, right? Before we, I think, let me put it in the loop. So I'll put it in the loop so that it would give space between the first student and the second student. Then after that, I would want to have another one here as well, right? At least, okay, so after this, let's see what's going to happen. So welcome to the school, enter your name, Engin. Please enter your age. Okay, I'm 24. Where do you come from? Medicine. Good. So you can see the space over here. I think there's good editing. Please enter your name. I am Mete. Enter your age. I'm 25. Where do you come from? Ankara. Right. So check the accuracy of the information you entered. Your name is Engin. You are 24 and you come from Medicine. I think we should be putting a full stop here as well. So your name is Mete. You are 25 and you come from, right. So this is all good. Now the next thing I want to look at is use pointers. So if declared array objects, use pointers and arrow operator, right? So the next thing I want to be looking at is using pointers and arrow operators.